Hi, I'm Wretched. Welcome back to Project Lore Building. And most of what we learn here is actually going to be completed or corrected in Limbus Company. Because the more I read the comments, the more people are like, hey, there's a lot of answers to a lot of the questions, but you won't find them here. You're going to find them in Limbus Company. So apparently, I'm going to have to wait for Limbus Company to get most of them. However, there are some really cool, interesting things that we find just by going through the credenza, and I love these. I love being able to go through it. Like this one. Eugen's page, it says blue. Arcalia, alias the Blue Reverberation. So, Eugen knows blue, and Eugen will give us more information about blue. Argalia, alias the Blue Reverberation, the person who is known to furtively cause incidents. Recently, he is suspected of recruiting individuals wielding powers that are possibly related to the distortion phenomenon. Huh, you know what? I never thought of that. They might actually be related to the distortion phenomenon. Some of them actually sort of resemble distortions in a weird way. I'm sorry, I should take this more serious, but I can't. It's just funny to me. Related to the distortion phenomenon in an attempt to form an organization. As well as prying into his plots, I intend to hamper his efforts myself before collecting data and presenting evidence of his irregular activity to the head. Oh, so nobody is tattled yet. That's why Blue gets to do what Blue does. I see now. I was wondering why he was going unchecked. It's because the head doesn't know. Or maybe the head does know, but they're choosing not to do anything about it right now. Because I'm going to guess that the head is one of those omnipotent big brother, not omnipotent, omniscient, like big brother types where they know everything that's going on. If it happens in the city, the head knows about it. They just choose not to do anything about it. That's my guess. And my other guess is, similar to what we've seen before, there's either a singularity involved for them to know everything, or there is how did I best describe it? A cultural god? I think it would be considered a cultural god. And I like to think of these very similar to, because I made a small joke about it last time, but like just sort of questioning what is these gods or goddesses that they were talking about last time. And I think what it is, you know how there's local legends? I'm trying to think of a good game that sort of describes it. Honestly, anything that has to do with like Greek mythology or some sort of mythology in some way, those are local legends that are gods. See what I'm saying? Or they at least have the power of gods. So depending on what religion you subscribe to, you would have certain gods or god or whatever that you believe in. So all of the other ones that you've ever heard of in your whole life, which I'm sure you've heard of other ones if you haven't lived, isolated yourselves from other cultures completely, or a popular culture, because it's all over the place. Just look at Kratos and the God of War franchise. That mixes mythologies together. So you've heard of other existences of these powerful beings. For you, all of them would be legends, and they would be cultural gods. They would be local gods. They would be ones that you don't necessarily believe in, but they have some power or sway over other people. See what I'm saying? So that must be what this is. This is the local legends that became godlike because enough people believed in them. Because the power of the human mind and the human spirit is that if you believe something hard enough, it can become true to you. And if enough people in society believe something hard enough, it becomes real. It may not manifest itself to us every day, but the power that it exerts over us is a real thing. And we can get over like the whole philosophy behind that and psychiatry behind that, because there are those people who they've convinced themselves that they're sick, like actually sick. They've tricked themselves into thinking, I'm sick, I have a disease, it's killing me. And they just drop dead. There's actual people there. You can look through history. There are actually people who believed hard enough that they were sick and dying that they actually died. And science can't explain it except for the fact that they convinced themselves so hard that they were dying that their brain killed them. It's just fascinating. It's wild. There's all sorts of different things out there. If you really want to delve into the horrors of what is the human psyche, it's there. The research is there, and it's terrifying. I don't recommend it unless you're looking for something that is like nightmare fuel. Some people like that kind of stuff. That's why I stay away from like creepypastas and stuff like that. My brain, it plays tricks on me, so I don't want to get into any of that. But some people love that stuff. If you're curious about it, look into it. It's wild. It's crazy what people can convince themselves to do. But I think that's sort of what this is. You know, all of that giant tangent was there to explain what I think is going on in the city is that there's actual, because there is magic here, because there is such a dense population of people, the faith in these entities is so strong that they actually manifest themselves. Now, whether that is the abnormality that is the city, like I talked about before, or the power that's possessed by the city, like maybe it's the city itself and the concentration of all of the people and all of the beliefs and all of the knowledge and all of the strength and all of the spirituality all in one big, tight, grouped ball that gives the city this power to manifest truly magical beings that are either singularities. Well, yeah, it would be the singularities, because the singularities create the abnormalities. Or they don't? Because we were able to create abnormalities before. So the city creates the abnormalities. But Carmen's singularity that she became allowed us to make abnormalities easier. Now, I don't know that one 100% because that was only stuff that I had heard or like seen in the comments. And there were a couple people who were kind of disagreeing with one another. Or maybe the way I read it was just confusing to me. But it seemed like some people were saying, oh, yes, abnormalities existed before the existence of Carmen. So that means the city would be doing it. Or no, Carmen actually, like there were the ability to manifest ego and use emotions. But it wasn't until Carmen finally became the conduit through which this could flow that true abnormalities and true, or maybe I've got that backwards. Maybe abnormalities existed, but not ego, except for Red Mist. But then when Carmen died, then ego became pretty common. Either way, the city is doing a lot of this. I was trying to figure out that way I could actually justify my reasoning here, but the city is doing a lot. I actually do believe that I'm onto something with this idea that it's either the collection of this densely populated mass of people that gives the city its power, or the city itself feeds off of the people, and it is an entity. See what I'm saying? Like, it has become an entity somehow. And it manifests these gods, it manifests these ego, it manifests all of these singularities. It allows for this magic and this technology to have a place to exist. And it's the only reason that these things do exist. So that would be kind of neat if that's what was happening. I don't know if that ever gets answered anywhere, or if there's anywhere like there might be lore that explains what the city is and how it actually functions, besides just being a place for people to live. But if the city has a heartbeat, which arguably is nothing more than resonance in the ground where like people exist, but if you want to think of it more like the city is alive and actually has a true heartbeat, like what we saw in the last episode, then it is alive and it's doing something. Whether it is sentient, I don't know. Maybe no one ever will know. So it doesn't necessarily have a will of its own. Maybe it's just going with the flow of the people. But arguably, that means that it does exist, it is alive, and it can think for itself. even if simply. So it's kind of neat. It would be kind of neat to see if the city is doing it, if the city is creating or manifesting all of this stuff, and if all of this wouldn't have been able to happen had people been spread out and not condensed into this tight space. Because maybe the whole, well, obviously, it provided the stage for all of these people to do the things that they did. So things would have looked different. But I almost wonder if all of this technology and like magic and stuff would have been impossible any other way. See what I'm saying? Like I always get this feeling like I don't explain things that I'm thinking the right way. But then I read through the comments and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So I'm going to assume that I explained it correctly, or maybe people are just a lot smarter than me and they can read between the lines of the stupid stuff that comes out of my mouth, which I really appreciate that you all do that. So thank you. But it's just fascinating. And my brain is not capable of like comprehending, digesting what I'm trying to say and regurgitating it back out in a way that makes sense to me, because now I sort of have just confused myself, but I know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, let's keep going. As the Blue Reverberation's plot was already in motion, I needed to act quick and do the least I could to stop him. However, She Association was too fatigued from the barrage of requests, so I asked Full Stop Office to deal with the Church of Gears, whose leaders seemed to harness a power that resembles the distortion. It does, doesn't it? It was like the distortions. Because she could transform people into gears. Arguably similar design, not shape, but similar design to creating monsters. Because the gears have function, they have purpose. The monsters have function, they have purpose. But what's really fascinating to me is that this distortion power that she has, where she's creating these distortions, sort of, it's the reverse, if that makes sense. And yet it's the exact same process, because she was taking people whose will was broken. But it's the opposite, because their will wasn't broken by a strong drive and emotion. That's why they couldn't manifest themselves, and they couldn't become beasts, and they couldn't become what was in their heart. But what was in their heart was emptiness. It was cold, and it was calculating, and they felt like a cog in the machine. So they did actually become what was in their heart, and that's again why it feels like it's exactly the same. I guess it's exactly the same in that she took what was in their heart and she created a thing that matched that. Similar to like the other people who became monsters or whatever. She matched it. So that's exactly like Pluto's ability. But the reason for them transforming was different. It wasn't a strong emotion that drove them to this. It was the complete lack of emotion. Or I guess melancholy? Would that be more accurate? They were depressed. Depression hurts, and it's powerful. So I guess that might be the emotion that she was tapping into that allowed her to do this too. So that could be, theoretically, the exact same thing. I don't know. It's hard to really say. You know what's kind of fascinating? That as we go, the story gets way more complicated, way harder to follow, and yet it's so much more interesting. I love this. Okay, moving on. But I haven't heard from them since. Perhaps they were eliminated in their mission at the hands of the church. Or if the Blue Reverberation expected the Fixer's arrival and toyed with them, then I will definitely have to get to the library and read their books. Oh, no. How did she know, though? How did she know the Blue Reverberation was onto her? I love Eugen. She really is really smart and really powerful. She was a beast. I really do believe that she probably would have been the hardest of all of the different fights that we would have fought had she been at her full strength. There was evident rationale to read the books of the musicians of Bremen as well, for they could contain even the slightest hint on the Blue Reverberation's plots he might have told them, even if I do not know the man in detail, admittedly. However, because I am certain that the Blue Reverberation is conspiring something that violates or will violate the rules stipulated by the head, I must gather crucial evidence and report it. I know how corrupt this association is. I am woefully aware of Thelma's cunning and unhinged purpose behind saddling Section 2 with one request after another and wearing us down. I am but waiting for the right time. Waiting and enduring until I seize the chance to bring the she back to glory. I firmly believe that everything will take a turn for the better once I take care of this work. I pledge to change the system with my hands, no matter what. Oh, I am so happy I made a Eugen then. Because now she actually gets a chance to continue her work even though she lost to us and perished. Oh my god, because this is almost word for word what the goal of lobotomy was. We're going to use the system to change the system. I mean, she's just as crazy as we are. She belongs with us. I'm so happy. Because a lot of times I feel bad for cutting short like the dreams and hopes that a lot of these people have. Is it just, their turn? Yeah, it's just their turn. There's nothing that can be done about it, but it still makes me feel bad just as a person, because I'm like looking at them like they had hopes, they had dreams, they had desires, they had friends and families, maybe. But then again, when we look at all of the stories, did they actually care about that person? I don't know. Were they going to turn on them or steal all of their stuff one day? I don't know, probably. So maybe I'm doing them a favor. It's hard to tell. In the city, you really don't know. There's so many blurred lines. It's insane. There's no way to know what's going on. Thelma, head of the Southern Branch, has been overworking Section 2 to a nonsensical degree lately. Their requests he's giving us are burdensome to take once per week, and he's constantly cramming them down our throats, sapping the strength and will out of our section. It's unclear if we can successfully handle this mission to the library, but it's painstakingly obvious that he'll give us another request to take care of immediately afterwards, even if we could. Most of our surviving crew are losing what little motivation they had left. As for why he insists on using Section 2 when the other sections are available, he's probably trying to get rid of Director Eugen because he suspects that our director knows something about the Blue Reverberation. That's what I thought was going on. That Thelma and Blue are somehow like in cahoots. Like they know. They've been working together. And now they know that Eugen's on their trail. And they have to remove Eugen because Eugen is strong enough to do something about this. It may have even been that, well, no, never mind. She doesn't know Blue. Eugen specifically said that she doesn't know Blue. Because I was thinking maybe Blue went to Eugen and said, hey, you're strong. I need strong people. Come be on my team. And Eugen's like, no, I got my own plans. Because he seems like someone that is a lot like a small child that will throw a temper tantrum if they don't get their way. Even though he seems calm, cool, and collected, let's be fair. He throws temper tantrums. He had somebody filleted alive because they didn't... Was that the right one? Maybe that's a different one. But I thought it was that he didn't... It wasn't that he didn't do what he said he was going to do. He just didn't do it the right way. One of those, the contracts that he had filled out. Blue was mad because it wasn't that it wasn't done. It wasn't done the way Blue wanted it done. So he took his toys and went home. But what's crazy is someone that strong, they're allowed to throw temper tantrums. Because what are you going to do about it? No one's going to stop that. Okay, let's see what else is going on here. Eugen was going to tattle on blue reverberation. Oh, it's right here. It's unacceptable that someone could use a branch leader of an association to make a toy of the entire association, color or not, especially if the goal is to remove our director, Eugen. I'm not sure what plan Director Eugen has to overcome this, but I suppose that I can wait until we finished our mission. What else were they going to do? They had to wait for Eugen. Eugen was the only one that really had the strength to do anything. So them doing anything would have been completely pointless and actually counterproductive to Eugen's plan. But it did feel like nothing could have happened there. Eugen was stuck once it had gotten that far. So I don't know what Eugen was going to do after all this, but I know she was trying to like bide her time and hope that she could gather enough information, but I'm not sure the information was there for her to gather, or at least within reach for her to gather. I don't know. I don't know what would have played out if we hadn't been the ones. Maybe she would have just kept flailing until eventually she would have died somewhere else. At least this way, her spirit and her energy can be put to good use, or at least continue on with the same goal that she had when she was alive. Tenma, from the receipt of the request to preparation for what? From the receipt of the request to preparation for execution, every step of an assassination is carried out covertly. Discreet killing is the She Association's specialty. An all-out war in open fields where numerous people clash at once is not our preferred form of battle, though it's one of the areas where the Liu Association excels. We truly shine when we operate in small numbers. We pursue extreme efficiency in order to kill our target within the limited window of opportunity. Also required is the ability to make quick assessments of the situation in order to swiftly strike the target's vital point with minimum movement. So they're assassins. They were never designed to go to war against us. Arguably, no one's designed to go to war against us because we're pretty broken. We get stronger. We're like the only people... What is this? It's like solo leveling. We're like the only people who can get stronger by downing our enemies. We have an experience system. Nobody else has that. Arguably, you get stronger every battle you have because you learn from it, but like Eugen demonstrated, you do enough fights back to back to back to back to back, you get exhausted. The human body is just not designed for that. The library is not, that is not the case. The more fights we do back to back, the stronger we're getting. There is no getting weaker. God, we're so broken. Now, we could be easily overpowered if people took us really serious, but they don't. And what's even more broken about the library, it handpicks who it's going to invite next in order to strengthen itself most efficiently. That is just straight busted. It's like actually getting a chance to start off at the starter town. Just like in any RPG. This is an RPG game. It's a deck building RPG game. It didn't feel like it at first, but now that I've gotten this far in, I see now it is. It's exactly what this is. The demand for assassination requests is pretty high these days, as the most surefire way to eliminate people armed with high-quality workshop equipment on top of body augmentations is sneaking up on them for a fatal blow when they least suspect it. Still, the streets aren't being filled with corpses of assassinated targets because there are fixers whose job is to kill those who were hired for assassination. Fixers are continuing their fierce strife, no matter the place. So there are people who are hired as assassins, that's the She Association. And then there are people who are hired to eliminate the assassins. I'm assuming that's another association. So everyone's just fighting everybody. There's no one association, I think, that has any real sway over anyone else, except for the one that does the contracts, the paper pushers. They're the ones. The bureaucratic associations, that one has the most power over all of them. And that's because they're not dying. Their numbers will never go down. They never have to worry because their power is their pen. I know I'm assuming that there's probably some risk involved. There's gotta be. Somehow, some way, someone is blaming them for the raw deal that they got, so obviously people are probably trying to take them out all the time. But they're not the ones, at least, fighting, so they maybe live a little bit longer. Now, what does the plain She Fixer say? Being an organization that is familiar with dealing death, the She's code of honor is to treat every person equally, as the weight of death is equal for everyone. That's honorable! And now it is assassination, so it's not exactly... it's not like a shining knight, but that is probably the most honorable code I've seen yet. In the entire city. And I know that's sort of supposed to be the motto for everybody. That's like what the city is trying to get people to do. Is like, oh, no. Death is good. Do death. But make sure you appreciate the dead person before you do the death. See what I'm saying? Like, it's a head scratcher sometimes. As long as the request fee is paid, we remove the target with no requests asked, regardless of who the client is, what kind of crime they may have committed, or any other details. The boss of a syndicate known for murdering people in cold blood, a criminal wanted by a street somewhere, laundering an identity for a person of higher status who often bribes, even requests, to kill one's own friends and family. I don't know why, but that one makes me feel a little icky. The rest of them I was okay with all the way up until that one, but maybe that's like some sort of deep-seated concern that I have. The idea that friends and family would turn on one another. I think maybe. Don't we all want to hope that the people who we care about us too? Like they love us back? Don't we all want that? Or am I just weird? Maybe I'm weird. Well, I mean, I know I'm weird, but like weird for this. We've established I'm awkward and weird. We handle all requests without leaning to a side. Of course, we have a duty of confidentiality to uphold for our clients. If you have enough money, we'll get them dead! And you don't have to worry, because we can't say a thing. We swear! Come on down! I don't know where I was going with that, but I'm just picturing some slimy used car salesman in an ad talking about how if you got the money, they'll be dead. Anyway, we mustn't give in and maintain silence even in the face of immediate threats of death. Such are the rules and mindsets that the She Association members must abide by. However, the recent behavior of the Southern branch goes against the core values of the She. On top of exerting power for his private interest, his selfish actions are causing severe damage to Section 2. All of us are eagerly waiting for Director Eugen to overthrow this rotten system one day. All of their hopes and dreams were pinned on Eugen, and we crushed them beneath our boot. I would say that I feel bad, but that would be a lie, because I don't. What right did they have to pin all of their hopes and dreams on Eugen? Yeah, I mean, that's sort of what she was going for. That's what she wanted. But I'm just saying, why couldn't they have stood by her side and not been behind her, pushing her up against the meat grinder? It's their fault that she couldn't do anything. They crippled her. They did. They bound her in chains. They hung all of their hopes and dreams on her, and she wasn't strong enough to do it. That is what feels wrong. And we didn't do that. So I don't feel personally to blame for any of the things that may or may not happen in the She Association, or for allowing Blue for doing whatever he's doing. We were just protecting ourselves. It was them. It's their misguided trust and hope that other people will solve this problem for me. But that is the life in the city, isn't it? You're either strong enough to do something and have the confidence to do that, or you really hope someone else will do it for you. I mean, that's all the people in the nests. That's what the culture of the city is. Come here and we will take care of you. If you're strong enough to get into an association, we will take care of you. The strong people will take care of the weak people. But what that means is that also puts a lot of pressure on the strong people, like Eugen, like, why can't I think of her name right now? Hold on, give me a second. I will think of it. It's got to be in Lowe's page. Zhao, like Zhao. There is so much stress and so much pain and so much weight on Zhao's shoulders. No wonder she's in the process of distorting right now. No wonder. It's got to be crippling. And on top of that, she has all of that weight on her shoulders. And she has to deal with the death of Lao. How? How do you do that? How can anyone be that strong? Nobody's that strong. And that's why people are finally crumbling. And they do every day in the city. We just don't get to see it. This is happening on a global, citywide scale. The whole Earth is basically the city anyway. But this is happening all over the place. And we don't get to see all of that. We get to see these short little snippets of a few people. Because if you really think about it, we don't even see half of the important people in the city. We don't. And we definitely don't get to see the whole population. I don't know how many millions of people, or possibly billions of people, who are living in this city. But we get to see what? 100? 200 of them? Like, even if you take into consideration all of the little peons that we're not actually seeing. We're definitely not seeing like 1/10 of this population. So there are so many stories that we just don't get to know. And I'm not talking about just in Library, but also in Limbus. I haven't even played it, but I know that there's going to be stories and stuff probably similar to this is what I'm assuming. But also back in Lobotomy. We definitely don't get to see a lot in Lobotomy. We don't even get to see the city. We get to see all the stuff from the past, relive all of the past stuff. So it's wild to me to think about all of the stuff that's going on out in the city right now. At the time of us reading these credenza, we're just cozied up in a little reading nook with one of the books that says A Puppet, page 1, right next to, I'm assuming it's really bright in here because there's a lot of light from the library's light. But we also have a candle, just because it's for the ambiance. There's a candle there. Nice tea, coffee, whatever you're into. A warm blanket. And we're just flipping through the pages. And as we flip through the pages, there's murder and horrible things going on in the city. To millions of people. And we'll never know. That's bonkers. That's crazy to think about. I hope you felt great before now, because if not, the depression is strong with this one, and I'm sorry. But that's just the reality of this world that we're currently learning about, and it's bad. Okay, enough of that. Let's move on. I gotta learn new things. Like A Puppet, page 1. Life in the nest isn't anything special, honestly. It's the same the whole world over. You get pecked at by your boss and go through mountains of workload. You find yourself working overtime pretty much every day. Payday isn't all that exciting either when you realize that you barely get any money for yourself after paying for maintenance, credit cards, insurance, living expenses, and all that. Most of your income's gone in a flash, and then back to work. I have my ways of enjoying the little things in life, though. When I come back home from work, I crack open a cold one and watch the back streets through the window as night falls. What? Holy crap! I like watching reality TV. You can't get any more real than watching the sweepers consume people. What? Oh, you're just looking out your back window. Boy, it's a slow night. No one's been out on the streets. I mean, I see all of these zombie-like creatures, but there's been no action. And then you see like a dog dart over in the corner, and you're like, oh yeah, here it goes. There's something happening, and like a horde of zombies go that way. A small child all of a sudden runs over in the other. You're like, yeah, let's go. Now it's on. And like the whole horde just goes that way. Like, what the heck? What kind of hobby is this? When I'm lucky, I can see people chasing each other, getting into a tussle. That's what I'm talking about. This guy's crazy. Oh my God, why? And I think, oh, I sure hope that person manages to get away. Oh, thank God. They're at least rooting for the underdog. It's like sports. Are you watching sports? I guess this is like their form of a sporting event. I don't know why it's so silly to me. I'm just being a hypocrite. Of course, we're all simply watching it for fun. Don't you agree? It's like a TV show. Viewers aren't genuinely concerned for the people on the rectangular screen. What? I was making a joke. It was a bit. This is real. They don't care. Okay, sure, I guess. I guess let's just keep going. I got a bunch of thoughts. I will process them and we'll talk about them later. All they care about is guessing who will win. So many unrealistic and varied situations take place in the streets. It actually feels as if I'm watching television. Don't call me out for being inhumane. Who knows? Maybe someone is watching me work myself to the bones from a high rise holding a glass of wine in their hand. Probably. I'm sure they are. That's their form of entertainment. They've got bets going. Which one of our peons is going to die today? I had a feeling that Randy there in the corner would drop dead last week. And yet, he's still here. Can you imagine? I lost half of what he makes in a day on that bet. Ugh. I sicken myself, and it's just imaginary. I haven't even read it. Oh, could you imagine? Although I guess how just different is that from, bets that we make any other time? People who bet on sporting events. You're pitting two people against one another. Arguably, depending on what sport it is, there is real possibility of bodily harm and death. Maybe low, because we try to make sure everything is, safe. But every sport has its risk. All of them. A professional pin the tail on the donkey has the risk of losing an eye. It's not very common, but it's there. So, we do it. We just trick ourselves into thinking that it's not the blood sport of ancient Rome. Like the Colosseum. But it is. It's all just that. And we as humans, we love that crap. Oh, no. I don't want to talk about sociology and psychology right now. Let's just keep going. Money rules this city. Oh, good. Let's get into greed. Greed sounds good. That we can get back onto that. At least then we can all agree that greed is bad. Every denizen of the city is obsessed with money to the point of popularizing the belief that money can be thrown almost at any problem. While the earnings of an average Nest resident are significantly higher than those of a person inhabiting the back streets, there's also a notable wage gap among the Nest inhabitants. One thing to keep in mind is that your position in your job doesn't always guarantee a high income. Right, that is 100% true. I wasn't paying any of our nuggets. Any of them. They were all earning exactly the same. And arguably Nicole, probably Haru, but no, Nicole was there twice. So Nicole got screwed over twice. Nicole was our go-to. She was our all-star. If any of them, she should at least have gotten some sort of a paycheck. Or like a bouquet of flowers. Congratulations, you're the VIP. You did it. She didn't even get a pizza party. I should have at least given them a pizza party, and I didn't. So, if the other nests are anything to go by, and from what I've heard, other corporations are just as bad, if not worse, than Lobotomy Corporation. Our poor little idiots were getting ripped to shreds daily. I can't imagine the kind of things that the other corporations have people endure. And then the other question is, do they have TTT2 or TT2? I think it's TT2. Yeah, TT2, where you can turn back the clock and bring them back to life. Our poor nuggets, our poor agents, they had to endure death over and over and over again. That excruciating pain of becoming, or going from a state of being happy, somewhat, and alive, to definitely dead. Probably happier. And then back again. I guess, what happens in the other corporations? I would love to actually get a good glimpse of what happens in another corporation. I don't know if we get to see it here or not, or maybe we'll see it in Limbus. But I really do. I want to see the inner workings of a different corporation. That would be huge. Because we saw lobotomy, but that felt like it's a special case because they were working toward a specific goal. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just commonplace. Anyway, what else is going on here? No matter how high your rank is in a small enterprise, you might not earn much more than a fixer in the Section 6 of an association? What? They're only... What? That's not that's like one of the low levels of the association. So the association fixers are making more money than the people in the nest? Then why do people then want to move to the nest? Probably because they know that they're not strong, they're smart. So this is the only way that they can make that kind of money. Otherwise they would just be devoured in the back streets. I guess what stops people from just lifting or using their smarts to create better weapons? Oh, you're right. You can't use homemade stuff, can you? You have to use stuff that's been approved. So using your smarts, you'd have to get into like a workshop or something. Boy, they thought of everything in the city. Because what stops like a super genius from creating like a whole mechanized suit? Like, I'm talking Gundam, Pacific Rim. I'm talking, like, we're going full-on mech. What stops them from doing that? Like, snapping, creating this thing, and then rampaging. Or at least, maybe like an Iron Man situation, where they make a full mechanized suit that they can kick the crap out of everyone, and then climb the ladder from there. And it's not as simple as, well, if they make the suit, then everyone's going to use it. No, you make one, and it is only usable using your biometric data. And you make it super comfy, so you never have to get out of the thing. See what I'm saying? It would be perfect. You could basically live in it. That's what I would do. I would make myself a nice little comfy home, like, suit. And then I would live in that thing. You would not get me out of it because it's dangerous out there. Even if your financial gain is on the higher side, you likely won't earn enough to waste extravagantly, meaning you won't get to take first-class seats on warp trains all the time or load the table with a sumptuous feast. Then who's doing that? I thought it was just like, if you make it to the nest, you've done it. You have succeeded. You are going to have first-class seats and beautiful dinners, wonderful marble homes. Who does that then? Because it happens. We have so many descriptions of the extravagance of the city that somebody's doing this. Who are the filthy rich? Is it literally just the CEOs of all the corporations? There's 26 of them. A, B, C, D, E. You know what I mean? There's 26 CEOs of the corporations. Maybe the heads of the associations are doing it. Is it like, can grade 1 fixers afford this? Because grade 1 fixers would be, arguably, they would be in like the upper sections of the associations, wouldn't they? Obviously all of the colors, because they're super powered. Even if they didn't have the money to do it, they would just force their way in. Man. This is really curious. There's so many questions I have now. Anyway, however, it will be enough money to secure a stable life in the nest. People who earn 4 million on or more per month can be considered the upper middle class. 4 million on. I don't know what that would be compared to, but that's the upper middle class. The upper middle class of what? Like what country? Because upper middle class only refers to like the socioeconomic standing of the city. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything because the upper class could be comprised of like 100 people. Normally I'm thinking like a bell curve, right? You got the majority of the people in the middle class. So if the upper middle class would be, let's say it'd be the top, I don't know, 1/3 of all the people would be upper middle class and above then. So this is the upper echelon for sure. But what's the gap between upper middle class and then upper class? Like, does it go from 4 million on per month to like all of a sudden the only way you can make it to the upper class is like 16 million? 100 million? I don't know. I don't know if it's like, 50 times this, 4 times this, 10 times this. But the little things is what I'm most curious about. And these are just so many questions are just coming up now. That's where the quality of life sees a visible increase. You no longer have to worry about being evicted from the nest for being unable to pay taxes. Oh yeah, they pay taxes too! And it's like stupid amount of taxes. And you can even hire fixers to keep you safe. You can save up in case of emergencies or send your children to better schools. You mean the nest has bad schools? For one, I didn't even realize schools were an option. But obviously, schools have to be an option. Because Chess had talked about going to school, right? Like the nest dwellers, they go to school. A life lived in safe haven, free of illness and starvation. Well, that's the life of an upper middle class they all talk about. What is there to be considered special? We just earn a bit more than others and live in a bit more comfort than others. So, honestly, there isn't really this, like a lot of people, well, I hate to say it like this, but it's like the poor of the nests have the worst of it, right? Because if you're in the back streets, you're like, okay, I'm in here, I'm in this. I for sure have to fight, otherwise I'll die. And if you're in the lower section of the nest, you're fighting tooth and nail just to try to avoid that. You're dealing with all the stresses of not wanting to go into the back streets. But you also have to deal with the dangers of the back streets too, because I'm assuming you don't get the good hours to work. You don't get the good food. You have to go into the back streets on a regular basis to do your dailies. And then they're not accepted in the back streets. People hate them there, so they're probably targeted more because they're like, oh, these are nest people. But they're not. They just have a slightly fancier place. But the nest people are like, oh, those are the poor nest people. We don't want anything to do with them. So they're completely isolated. I almost guarantee that's what's happening. Oh, man. How interesting. I'd love to like see some of the social hierarchy in the city and like the nests and stuff, and kind of see how that plays out. Boy, the She Association and the puppets really gave us a lot of info. I can only imagine, because Urban Nightmare, I knew this is where it was going to step up, but I didn't realize it was going to be this much. And Emma's going to have some really cool insight into it too, and Noah, because they are part of the nests. I can't even imagine what we're going to get out of the Start of the City stuff. Because people are saying, oh, just wait, it gets crazy in Start of the City. But I'll have to wait until the next episode. So thank you so much for watching this one. Take care, and goodbye!